Hey kids, welcome to Tech Talk number 36. I am Pulse Ray Vision coming to you live from Cuatro Cinco Studios in my mom's basement, as always. Today I don't know if we have a great show or not. I thought that I sent out these links for StreamYard to our two special guests, which were the OX Barista team and Robert Janito from who's part of the Genius community. And so we'll just start going from here, and I'll talk about what's going on in the community, what's going on in my life, and if we don't end up with some guests from our regular panel, or we don't end up with some guests from just jumping on, then we'll I've got a couple other things we can do today. So one of them being I might just read the first chapter of our dark matter book that we've rewritten, because it's pretty intense. It's pretty awesome. So I might just share that with you guys. Another thing we can do is we can always go over to curator.com, or as I like to call it, scirator.com, and check out some of the different projects going on there. But like I said, hopefully we get some people from Barista joining, and Robert Janito, who's always a fascinating guy to talk to. So that being said, I want to tell you guys all, wish you all a happy Easter if you're celebrating Easter or the spring equinox or whatever pagan holiday you guys want to celebrate. Or maybe you just really like eating boiled eggs today, and that's cool too. We're just hiding stuff around the house and yard and watching your kids try to find it. So anyways, I want to say hi to Red Squirrel, Oi Pops. He's almost always first in the comments. We got Hex Holder PLS. We got Lawrence Roland, my good friend and brother. In Dust We Trust. Only one like, and it's me. Come on, slackers. Yeah, come on, slackers. In fact, I'm going to jump over to another community that's a lot of fun here that I've recently enjoyed getting to know. And that is the DGen Roundtable group. So I'm going to come over here, see if I can paste the link for these guys and see if anyone wants to come on. And if none of this works, I'll just post the link in the comments, and any one of you guys can join, because we have that kind of an awesome community where I can have a talk with almost anyone in the Pulse community or the Hex community, and have some really interesting conversations. D Bunny's in the house. Light, thank you so much, D Bunny. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm going to take the invite here and drop it in there. See if anyone from the Crypto DGen group wants to jump in here. Boom. Awesome. In the meantime, we are working really hard on getting our website up and live. So don't mind the doors opening and closing. We have ghosts here. No, we're trying to get the website live. We are accepting donations right now to get through our audit and marketing. We're almost finished with the smart contracts. So we're going to have a website that people can go to. And it's kind of like throwing money in a wishing well. So you can make a wish, you can throw some crypto into the wish well, and we have an NFT receipt that you'll get when you connect your wallet and if you donate into the wish well, and that will have a number of magical no value points associated with it, and we'll see where that goes from then on. But that's hopefully to get us across the finish line and get launched hopefully before Bitcoin halving and all the craziness ensues. Dutch CQ's in the house. Hey Ray, hey, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Again, like I said, I'm just running solo today. Of course, it is Easter Sunday, so I imagine a lot of people have dinners with families, hanging out with their kids and family. I mean, it's not necessarily a great day for crypto, but I appreciate all of you guys being here with me and hanging out. So, like I said, we are hoping to get the website live in the next week or so that accepts donations, and you will be getting 10 times bonus on your points during the wish well phase of this launch versus later when we're ready to do some mining and claiming, or whatever happens down the road. So I'm going to jump into the first chapter of the book. You see, this book's kind of interesting. First, we just wrote a book that was a hero's journey and kind of a fun sci-fi novel, and we wanted that to go with the art of our NFTs. So instead of just getting a picture of a monkey, you now had a monkey in a book that you have some connection to. It gives it some heart and some emotion. And as we talked to a few consultants about launching crypto, we kind of got the advice that in order to really get someone's attention, you can either be a larger than life character, such as Polly from Pepe and Pork, or Richard Hart from Hex, and you can kind of have that loud, controversial, or outrage marketing kind of thing going on, and that's not really my style. I'm a little more laid back and chill than that. And they said the other thing you can do to get your point across, or to express and describe your tokenomics and your coin, is through a story. And at that point, we didn't have a lot of the tokenomics written into the story. And so we went back a fifth time, revised the book, and put some Easter eggs and a little bit of explaining how the tokenomic works into the story. So without further ado, I'm going to pull up the latest version right now of the book. And if you go back on YouTube, you can see me reading chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the old version of the book. And it gives you a lot of backstory. It takes you into Cole Nova, our main character's childhood, and kind of gives you an idea of what he went through and where he's going. But we've kind of decided to start with a much more gripping part, a lot more action, and a little more of the tokenomics. So if you listen through here, you should be able to maybe catch some hints at what some of the things our coin does and so forth. Oh, and I want to show you guys my nice this is my Easter outfit right here. Little Burberry with the purple, a little Easter Sunday outfit for you guys. Hey, what's up, T-Hex? Good to see you, buddy. And so I'm going to start reading this. I'm also going to put the link in the chat, which, sometimes you can copy and paste it or not. But this is StreamYard. So anyone who wants to jump on today, since we may or may not have guests, come on and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We're cool like that. So this is the new version of what we're calling dark matter right now. So we got chapter 1. The doors snapped open like two giants running from each other, and Cole Nova took a measured step into the dim confines of the ship's abandoned storage bay. His presence, which would typically fill the room with undisputed authority, fell silent under the constant, lonely hum emitted by the engine room directly below. Cole weaved through the rows of anti-gravity harvesters looking for any sign of what might be happening on board their ship. Luminescent bands traced the contours of each slender monolith, each softly pulsing in unison. Green equals good. Cole moved along the first few rows of 100, verifying each of the 14 harvesters in each row was operational. Under his hastily adorned spacesuit, the inner stitching on the jackpot patch rubbed a valley of irritation into Cole's firm chest. Of the many insignia he wore, those ones he'll later display at parties, this more unique, more treasured, a gift from his crew. Beneath his boots, the ship's gentle vibration crept up to him, and with the thoughts of being Saturn's next mill, he continued to inspect the row after row of dark matter harvesters. Each harvester luminescent band pulsed with an eerie stillness. The green lights, indicators of operational units, cast an otherworldly glow over Cole's features. The storage bay, in an uneasy stillness. Cole felt the ship's vibration through the soles of his boots. Cole approached the luminescent red glow of an anomalous harvester, his fearless ego subdued by the absence of his crew, all of whom, including the captain, were now confined to the sick bay with a fragment of the night sky torn from the heavens behind their eyes. Their movements were caught in a stutter, like marionettes on a snagged string. An obsidian thorn grown from the fabric of space itself. An anomaly thrummed with a life of its own, a pulsating heart of shadow and light. Cole watched light bend and fracture across the rigid, incandescent surface of the dark matter crystals. Cole reached out, not to touch, but to understand. As his glove hand neared the surface of the crystal, its tendrils stretched and twitched towards him. His mind snapped to the past few days. The crew's odd behavior, once a mystery now, seemed a direct response to these crystals' silent yet pervasive influence, subtly altering the crew's perception and actions. Cole's understanding deepened as he recognized a tide ebbed and flowed within the crew, much like this darkness made visible in the riptide of his inversion of light. "Hey, Gracie," Cole said. "You seeing this?" "First Officer Nova, I'd be happy to help," the ship's AI said. "I have initiated preliminary scanning on the collection units. Please proceed with caution. The crystalline structure is highly irregular." "Yeah, it's pretty wild in here. I think suiting up was a good idea after all," Cole said with a narrow glass collection tube and a sample bag in hand. "Gracie, let's see what these crystals are made of. Any theories?" "I'm checking the database now, First Officer Nova. Hypothesis: interaction between the mineral salt and the dark matter vapor may have created a new compound. Caution advised. Anomalies detected in crew behavior are linked to crystal proximity." "I figured that out by now," Cole said. "How's the crew? Oh, and Gracie, please review our previous conversation from your memory." "Absolutely, Cole. I'm up to speed on monitoring crew vitals," Gracie said. "Elevated stress levels detected. I recommend swift action to isolate the crystals. And Cole, there is no record of this compound on any of the records I have access to." The anomaly danced like a shadow of firelight. Cole guided the narrow glass collection tube towards the crystalline entity. As he did so, the gentle hum of engines and the soft whir of life support systems dimmed. Drawing back to observe this pivotal moment, he watched entranced as the crystal's intricate pattern seized into and out of focus, rippling like a dark palm frond in an impossible breeze, edges fluttering between dimensions. Cole noted with cautious curiosity as the hums and whirs of the ship undulated into a surreal soundscape. His heartbeat asserted itself slow, deliberate, knocking against his lungs. "Cole, my analysis is complete," Gracie said. "I ran a diagnostics on all units, and exactly 1 in 20 are affected by the anomaly." Cole, steady and precise, maneuvered the narrow glass collection tube toward the crystalline entity. That doesn't calm my nerves at all, Gracie, Cole said. Understandable, she said. Would you like to hear more? It's not really the time for niceties, just hit me with it. Each of the anomalous units come from the group we dropped of approximately 84 days ago. According to each unit's log, the power level of these units swells, then stabilizes every 9 days. The anomaly is not currently within its stable period. It also appears that the more anomalous units there are, the more power the anomalous structures on each unit possesses. So you're saying be careful. I'm saying collecting a sample is ill-advised at this time. Cole aligned the tube with a final decisive movement, ensuring the crystal was perfectly positioned for collection. And after a moment of almost thoughtful hesitation, the anomaly reached into the tube and grew across the interior surface the way roots crawl through soil. Encased within the tube, the crystals became a captured mystery, a fragment of the universe within human reach. Too late, scaredy pants. Sample secured, Cole said, wishing to wipe the sweat from his brow. Gracie, initiate isolation protocols and have Bitboy and my second officer meet me in medical bay. Cole paused for a moment. The anomaly's interwoven roots glistened like oil on water. With practiced grace, he secured the tube into a specialized compartment on his suit designed for hazardous materials. He gave the compartment a tug to make sure it was tightly fastened, its contents isolated from the environment. Protocol initiated, Gracie's voice resonated within Cole's helmet. Bitboy and Second Officer Ricardo Corazon can't be reached. Medbay is ready for decontamination sequence. Gracie's voice pulled him back from his contemplation. Turning his back to the pulsating glow of the harvesters, Cole quickened, his steps driven as if walking up the stairs in the darkness of night. The dimly lit bay felt as if it were shrinking in behind him, following him, taunting him. Each step carried him further from the anomaly source and closer to the ship's heart, where his crew awaited his return. With the storage bay still biting at his back, Cole's mind raced with plans and contingencies. Bitboy and Ricardo Corazon, absence, the captain and crew's illness. Isolation protocols were a temporary measure. Understanding the anomaly's true nature and its effect on the crew was paramount. The safety of his ship and the lives of his impromptu command depended on the actions he was about to take. Exiting the storage bay, Cole couldn't shake the feeling that the day's events were a harbinger of challenges yet to come. The ship carried within it a mystery that threatened to unravel the very fabric of their mission. With a determined breath, Cole set his sights on the medical bay. Cole, sensors detect an intermittent but increasing energy surge from the harvester you sampled. The mention of an energy surge from the sampled harvester spiked his concern. This anomaly was more than scientific curiosity. It was a potential threat, one that needed immediate attention. On my way, Gracie. Keep the medbay on standby, Cole replied, his firm voice a command tinged with the resolve of a seasoned officer. Cole's voice tightened with a mixture of frustration and concern. Shit. All right, alert the crew to take emergency precautions. Well, more emergency precautions. And keep trying the hooligans. Check the damn rec room. Gracie's voice was immediately broadcast ship-wide, a clear, authoritative tone. Attention all crew. Emergency protocol Alpha 2 is now in effect. Please proceed to your designated emergency stations. The bay door slammed shut. The ship's internal lighting shifted, bathing corridors and rooms in a pulsating red light. The hum of the engines halted, the air humid with impending danger. Throughout the vessel, doors sealed automatically with a pneumatic whisper. Along the corridors, emergency guide lights flickered to life. A network of luminescent breadcrumbs leading the way to emergency stations and escape pods. The crew moved with a sense of urgency. their faces stricken by a mix of practiced resolve and underlying anxiety. Trained for emergencies but seldom confronted with their immediacy, they navigated the shifting landscape of their vessel, the familiar becoming less and less so, in the shadow of an unknown emergency. Monitors across the ship flashed with updates and instructions. A flare of brilliant, incandescent light erupted from the sampled harvester, engulfing the bay in a tidal wave of radiance, and in an instant, the ship turned from careful chaos to disaster. Cole was sent reeling backward, defying the ship's artificial gravity as he crashed against the bay walls. The explosion, a cacophony of unyielding force, fractured reality into a vortex of light and sound. A deep, resonating roar screamed through the shivering corridors. More alarms joined the chorus, their wails rising to a fevered pitch. Cole's gaze was fixed on the lattice of cracks forming across his helmet's visor. The ship's skeleton warped and fractured under the strain. Metal alloys, engineered to endure the harshness of space, folded and twisted like paper caught in a gale. Fuel cells ruptured into an obscene display, blooming into fiery orbs that consumed everything in their path. Jettison Cole from the ship. Amidst the chaos, he was an island of stillness. He floated, untethered, in the violent disarray around him. Cole's eyes mirrored the devastation. His ship, his crew, torn apart and fed to the void. Flames and shards of metal danced in ghastly, silent ballet all around him. Light flashed in violent, silent spasms, illuminating a fragmented wasteland. Cole's voice emerged from the barely audible Cole's voice merged barely audible in his helmet. "All crew report," he uttered into the void, each syllable seeming to float away, swallowed by the enormity of the void. Again he tried. "Triage team report." His words dissipated into the vacuum, unanswered, leaving an almost tangible silence in which Cole could hear his blood flowing. A whisper of desperation followed. "Gracie, anyone?" In the overwhelming quiet that followed, Cole activated the recorder using the control unit on his left wrist. His voice echoed a somber determination in the confined space of his helmet. "Mission log. Final entry, 2034. Cole's voice carried the weight of the moment, clear and unwavering despite the chaos around him. "This is First Officer Cole Nova. Our ship has sustained critical damage following an unexpected explosion in the storage bay. I've managed to secure a sample of the anomaly. It may be the key to understanding what's happening. You should find it on my body. All efforts were taken to ensure the crew's safety, execute emergency protocols, and stabilize the situation to the best of our abilities. However, it would appear I'm the only survivor." He paused, collecting his thoughts before speaking of his crewmates. "If this is found, let it be known that Ricardo, our heavy hitter, was more than our second officer. He was the foundation of our team. His inexhaustible humor and strength kept the entire crew grounded and hopeful, even in our darkest hours. And then there's BitBoy, whose unique contributions were as invaluable as they were unusual. With an agility and problem-solving ability that surpassed all expectations, he performed tasks that would have been impossible for the rest of us. His presence was a constant reminder of the extraordinary lengths this mission has gone to in exploring the unknown." Cole's voice softened affectionately as he addressed his sister. "Emily, the guiding light in my life. Distance and time mean nothing against the bond we share. Look to the stars. I will always watch over you and guide you. Keep our dreams alive. And remember, you're always in my heart. I love you." With the message complete, Cole sent the log into the darkness and watched as if he could see the signal weave through the graveyard before him. Against the backdrop of the starship's fractured body, A surge of deliberate motion broke the stillness. An evacuation vehicle emerged, cutting through the chaos like a sharp insult. Inside, Bitboy, his 6 limbs, a symphony of coordinated movement, worked alongside Ricardo. Together they steered the craft with an undeniable serenity. Under their expert control, the vehicle danced through the maelstrom of floating wreckage and the disfigured bodies of the crew. They navigated this graveyard of metal and memories. Bitboy's 6 limbs were a blur of activity and precision. His eyes darted between the control panel readouts and the chaos beyond their viewport. Each glance a rapid assessment. His movements were less those of a pilot, more akin to a conductor orchestrating a symphony. Ricardo, firmly at the helm, embodied a navigator's intuition. His hands, firmly gripping the controls, steered the craft with an innate understanding of its capabilities and limitations. A large hull fragment set Ricardo's instincts into overdrive. He led the vehicle, avoiding collision by mere inches. The craft's hull shuddered as it narrowly missed the jagged metal. Under their control, the vehicle moved with a sentient agility, responding to the debris-filled unpredictability. They skirted dangerously close to a rogue harvester, the cabin suddenly awash with warning lights and the shrill sound of alarms. Ricardo's reaction was instantaneous. With a deft recalibration of their trajectory, he guided them clear of the imminent threat. His actions a blend of calculated risk and necessary boldness. The void held Cole. Its weightless embrace, a paradox of touch, infected him. The very absence of force became a present that engulfed him. Cole sat into his hopelessness. There, suspended in the silent expanse, a chasm grew inside him. His oxygen supply whistled through the cracks in his faceplate. No tether, no rescue, no hope. He sought solace in his training, the rigorous preparations meant to steel him against the unforgiving void. Yet, as he floated adrift, he confronted the stark truth. Within their engineered havens, humans mustered an indomitable spirit. Stripped of those constructs, cast into the vast, indifferent expanse, humanity flounders, unmoored and vulnerable. In this moment, Cole watched the emptiness of space silently claim its prize, as it relegated the ship's debris and bodies of its crew to an eternity among Saturn's miraculous rings. In its profound isolation, Cole spiraled. So much of his existence was spent fortifying against the elements, against each other, and against the unknown. Yet here he was, without a semblance of stronghold, within or without. His heart raced as the void's lessons on his overwhelming insignificance. His feet, fingers, and eyes tingled between each commanding beat of his heart, and the soft whistle of his oxygen supply sneaking away continued. He watched, as if from a distance, the slow, aimless waltz of debris and remains of his crew. The stark beauty of the rings, untouched and remote. Each piece of debris and lifeless body a story ended, dreams dissolved. His sudden isolation pressed on him like a hungry snake. The suit's internal temperature and oxygen supply indicators flashed warnings. He clung to the finite, the memories, the dreams, the very essence of what made him human. To Emily, with the infinite searching out inexorably before him, that Cole's thoughts drifted to what anchored him to life itself. Emily's face, her laughter, the touch of her hand, these memories flickered like distant stars in the dark. A thoughtful glint in his eye, a sliver of moment that arched and weaved as if it had a purpose. The one object that defied the slow twisting of the debris littered amongst the rocks, dust, and ice. A shuttle, its form barely discernible. Yet, as hope sparked, so too did a shadow of doubt. The spectrum of isolation clung to Cole, even as the shuttle emerged as a beacon in the consuming darkness. How could they see him? A lone soul adrift amid the wreckage of dreams, the vast canvas of space dotted with the remnants of human folly, seemed indifferent to his plight. Yet, there it was, a lifeline, cast across the abyss. His resolve faltered. His hand hovered over the thruster controls, paralyzed by a cocktail of fear and uncertainty. With a defiant shake of his head, Cole swallowed what might be his last meal, his fear. Cole, adrift and alone, watched this surreal approach, his heart thundering. Fear and hope tangled within him, each second stretching into an eternity. Every heartbeat, a drumbeat echoing in the shuttle's cautious advance. He pressed down on the thrusters, the gentle hum of their activation cutting through the whispers of air escaping, his body sharply numb. The distance separating Cole from the shuttle dwindled to almost nothing. The shuttle's side hatch swung open slowly, deliberately. From within the gloved hands stretched into the emptiness towards Cole. Not just limbs extending, but lifelines cast across the dark. The sight stirred something deep within him, a well of emotions that had been dammed by fear and desperation. Contact. A rescuer's glove brushed against Cole's, a spark of life against the cold. The grip was unsure at first, fingers sliding across the slick fabric of his suit. Panic surged in Cole's chest. The terrifying possibility of slipping away felt all too real. Another hand joined, its mechanical grip stronger, more certain, and Cole felt a pull, a physical tether back to life. In that moment, Cole's world teetered on the edge. His breath hitched, his eyes locked with his rescuer through the visor. A silent exchange of fear, determination, and hope. With a decisive pull, they drew him in, the shuttle enveloping him in its embrace. The shift from the void's chill to the shuttle's warmth jarred Cole. Frantic voices rapped all around him. Cole lay still floating, but held now by a counterfeit of safety. Air, rich and sweet, flooded his lungs. The hum of the cabin, the sound of safety and civilization, washed him of panic, and his tears broke free. Ricardo and Bitboy's faces, seen through the blur of tears, shone with relief and warmth, their smiles lighting the darkness. Cole stood transfixed by the devastation outside the shuttle's viewport. The remnants of his starship twisted and turned amidst the cosmic whirl of debris orbiting Saturn, but Cole saw more in the shuttle's glossy viewport. The reflection of a man transformed. His features were etched with the complex tapestry of emotions that only such a catastrophe could weave. The torment in his powder blue eyes, the stark contours of his cheek and jaw, now more profound. His skin an epic novel on the meaninglessness of life. Cole saw the same veil of loss that shrouded him enveloping Ricardo, and he thought Bitboy too, the air thick with the shared burden of survivors. In this charged silence, Cole faced an unyielding truth, the relentless drive towards the unknown, the insatiable hunger for discovery and dominion, extracted a toll far greater than anyone could anticipate. A journey, any journey paved with ambition and the quest for knowledge, often left its deepest scars on those in the vanguard, while those who demanded isolation from real risk. In this moment, Cole understood the true cost of curiosity, the indelible mark left on the souls of the poor as a reminder of the price of reaching beyond our grasp. Boom. And that's the new chapter 1, where we see Cole trying to harvest this sample from a harvester of dark matter, and the volatility and the craziness that absolutely destroyed the entire ship, killed everybody. And his rescue from BitBoy, who is a bionic monkey with 6 limbs, and Ricardo Corazon. You guys might know who that's referring to, but that's Heavy Hitter is also his nickname. So there we go. That's chapter 1 for y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to wake up your loved ones next to you, as they've probably also fallen asleep. We got Moondog in the house. What's up, love and light? Red Squirrel says Max is soothing dulcet tones. I feel sleepy. Stuff says, I wonder if Pulse Ray Vision's powers be enhanced with a pair of pit vipers. Yeah, I definitely need some pit vipers on. What's up, Pulse Ray Vision from Hex Monkey? How's it going? Yeah, so like I say, in the story, there are harvesters that are harvesting this crystal structure called dark matter. We have, obviously, our token that we're coming out with is the dark matter token, and it interacts with the NFT, which is the anti-gravity NFT, which are fuel cells. And you'll see the interaction between the dark matter crystals and the fuel cells as we get deeper into the story and as we tell you guys more about our project. So that's just a little hint. There's also a part in there about what happens every 9 days. The energy levels surge and then stabilize, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger during the first 90 days of collection. So there's something there as well about the tokenomics and the game theory that we put together. Yeah, and that's about it. I mean, we talked a little bit about what my thought process and journey through creating my token, since since I have the stage all to myself. I don't have any guests hanging out here. Excuse me while I sip some little 5-hour energy. Oh, that's good stuff. So I've always been fascinated, obviously, by crypto. I was fascinated by the tokenomics and the fundamentals of Bitcoin for the longest time. I was wrapping my head around Bitcoin at the same time Ethereum was coming out. And it's like early 2015, I believe. Bitcoin had just crashed from its $1,000 high down to 150. And at the time, I was studying calls and puts and trading stocks. And one of the guys that I followed, Alesso Rastini, or maybe it's Alesso Rastani, one of those two guys, he's on Facebook. He said, it's time to take a look at Bitcoin. And I had heard about Bitcoin, but I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that people were using it on the internet. And so I jumped down that rabbit hole of Bitcoin, understanding what it did, how it worked. And naively, I was excited about the possibility of Bitcoin helping us route around the banks and the governments and bringing true freedom to humanity. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. It kind of got commandeered, and there's quite a few things that happened while I was part of this. The Silk Road, Mt. Gox, Bitcoin Cash debate, the developers of Bitcoin clearly wanting to halt its progress. And then, of course, Wall Street and governments buying up as much of it as they could. So, unfortunately, Bitcoin did not deliver its promise of peer-to-peer digital currency. But the pumpamental of its limited supply of 21 million and the halving cycle, as we can all tell, over the last 12, 15 years, I think it's like 13. I mean, I don't know how many years it was, traded amongst the developers and 10,000 for a penny and that kind of stuff. That was the really early days. I clearly wasn't there for that. But 21 million. And supposedly the last significant amount of Bitcoin is going to be harvested somewhere around 2140. I don't plan on being around to see that. I don't think you guys will either. But the 21 million limit was not, yes, there are 21 million Bitcoin, but based on the, inflation bugs that Bitcoin's already faced, and the fact that it's been forked with significant loss to its value at least 12 times, are there really 21 million Bitcoin, or are there 21 million times 12? The air was let out of the balloon of Bitcoin, right? So every time we get a halving, there's a bunch of air that goes into this balloon that we call Bitcoin. And after the halving, when people dump, when the overbought gets obvious to everybody and they start selling, all the air escapes from Bitcoin. And like I said, when I started getting into Bitcoin around 2015, people were going crazy about Ethereum. And I ignored Ethereum in the beginning because I was still wrapping my head around Bitcoin and trying to figure out how it worked and how the nodes, how the miners worked and all that kind of stuff. And I was running a node because back then, if you were a true believer in crypto and Bitcoin, you were running a node as your part to hold up the network and keep the blockchain alive. So it wasn't for a long time that I figured out what Ethereum was and how it could be used. And I was just, I chased a bunch of altcoins in 2018, lost some money, went back into Bitcoin, rode the 2021 wave all the way up. And at that point, the only stable coin that most people knew about was Tether. And Tether still hasn't proved its integrity or sovereignty or backing. They've never shown people exactly what's backing Tether. And so, of course, I didn't trust Tether. I didn't sell out, cash out, and hold my gains in Tether back then. Hey, what's up, Crypto Compassion? Good to see you, buddy. So back then, it was Tether. I had like $30,000. Back then, $30,000 was a lot of money to me. There were a lot of years that we raised our family on $30,000 to $50,000. So that was life-changing wealth. But like I said, I didn't know how to take profit. I didn't trust Tether. And so I rode my Bitcoin all the way back down to $6,000, where I dumped a ton of money in because it looked like it flatlined. And as soon as I dumped all the money I had into Bitcoin at $6,000, it fell to $3,000. So, there's a lot of DCA lessons going on in my crypto journey. But anyways, Ethereum came out and I started trying to figure out what to do for the next one. So this was 2017's peak is when Bitcoin hit 20,000, and I had 1.5 Bitcoin back in the day. And I was rich on paper, but not rich in life. I didn't realize that game. So then it drops down, and I'm studying what to do. And around that time is when I found Richard Hart. So it's like 2016, 2017. And he was the stuff he was saying was so brilliant about Bitcoin, and his calls of the tops and bottoms of the market were so good that I immediately started following him. And at this time, he was doing more self-help stuff than crypto stuff, talking about how to give good apologies, how to not pee all over the seat at night when you go pee, all the sci vibe stuff, right? And so I was kind of enjoying him, following him for the ride. And then, I remember him announcing the CBD token, the computational fluid dynamics CFD token. And basically, Richard said, look, Bitcoin's wasting all this energy and computing power solving SHA-256 algorithms. Why don't we put that power to use? So why don't I create a coin that does the same thing, uses all this hash power to secure it, but instead of just burning it to solve an equation, why don't we fold proteins and do simulations that help medical research? And all of us were like, that sounds great. I'm in. Let's do it. And then like a month later or 2 months later, not that long later, he was like, yeah, forget that. That is way, way too complex. We are not doing that. But I have another idea. And the other idea was Bitcoin Hex, which was a CD on the blockchain. And we're like, he's like, why, if you're holding a coin off the market and keeping the price up, you should be rewarded for doing so. It was genius. We're like, yeah, of course. So we're all into it. And he said, this should take about 6 months. Obviously, it took about 2 years. And I just remember, being in Telegram, being in Twitter, watching the streams as they were figuring out the T-share, they were figuring out the penalties, they're figuring out the interest rates, and really putting it all together. It really was a community project back then. And it was awesome. And I think I had gained back up to, Bitcoin was back up to about $6 or $8 grand at this point, I want to say. I'm not sure. It definitely hadn't started its run again when Richard launched Hex in December of 2018 or 2019. 2019. And I was going into the adoption amplifier and slowly moving my Bitcoin into Ethereum, then putting my Ethereum in the adoption amplifier. And just trying to figure out how to DCA into this thing. He told us, don't ape in on day one. Of course, I aped in on day one. And I think I bought quite a few Hex at like half a penny on the very first day. And then it just dropped, just went off a cliff, like 95% or something like that. And I was like, oh, so yet another lesson in DCAing, my friends, dollar cost averaging. So it drops and it's going. And there was one day that Richard Hart was on this interview and everyone was giving him grief about recycling. They're like, hey, the same amount of Ethereum comes in at the same time every day and buys up the supply and changes the ratio. And, obviously that's you, Richard. And, they're throwing a fit. And Richard said, do you think it's fair for an auction to have a minimum bid? And I'd seen the adoption amplifier bounce off 0002. I want to say it was 0002 or quadruple 4 zeros and a 2 or 3 zeros and a 2. And it was just bouncing off this line. And I thought to myself, I think that's the minimum bid. I think that's what Richard's talking about. And the guy interviewing him totally glossed over, just kept on going, asking him other questions and stuff. But I heard Richard say that. And I called everyone I knew, my brothers and friends. And I was like, I'm going all in. I'm done. I'm 100. I'm dumping the rest of my bag into the adoption amplifier. And some people kind of like upped their adoption amplifier, but that was like right there in the sweet spot, right in the bottom of the adoption amplifier. And that was amazing because now not only like, so Bitcoin has the halvening and limited supply, and that's how it tries to keep the air in the balloon, so to speak, the energy inside of the system. And then Ethereum came along and offered utility. And so even though it was growing quite fast in inflation, it was following the halving events and the cycle of Bitcoin. But it also had a lot of energy and a lot of air going into the balloon to try, because of all of the Turing complete, meaning not like with Bitcoin, you can send, you can receive, and you can mine. And that's really all you can do with Bitcoin, honestly. But then, Ethereum introduced if then things where it's like, not just a 1 or a 0, but a slash, so you could start writing smart contracts and stuff. And we watched as everything went crazy, and they tried to do the DAO, and they had the huge DAO hack. And at that point, up to the DAO hack, they were saying code is law. If you mess up the code and you lose the money, there's no crying in crypto. Until people lost a few $1 billion in the DAO hack. And that's when you had the split of Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, because Ethereum Classic stuck to the ethos that code is law. Like, no, you write bad code, you get exploited, the honeypot gets broken. Like, that's it. You're just going to have to face that. And so that was like, that kind of fractured their community a little bit. Obviously, Ethereum, which is actually Ethereum 2.0 or whatever, won that battle. If you look at, not a lot's going on Ethereum Classic, and it keeps getting 51% attacked and stuff. But that was an interesting way to keep the air in the balloon. And then when Richard and Dev Kyle came up with the T-share, it was yet another way to keep the air in the balloon, right? Because if you staked your hex and got your T-shares, then you were not diluted by the inflation. And so staking hex did a great job of keeping the air in the balloon fairly well. Unfortunately, there's too many people that got in hex and got good inflation of hex in the early days that are all too happy to dump the price right now in the bear market. It was dumped really heavily. And then, of course, when Pulse launched, although I believe Pulse is going to be like the saving grace of hex and the saving grace of crypto in the long run, not so much because of the technology of Pulse, but because of the community and the intentions behind Pulse. So Pulse dropped, and then now you have 2 balloons. And so it kind of like diluted the air from 1 balloon to 2 balloons right there. And over time, we see more air going into the Pulse balloon than into the Ethereum balloon right now, right? So for years, I thought to myself, I was so upset by when we crashed from 50 cents all the way back down to a penny, 2 pennies, whatever. Like, I was so crushed. I was like, this sucks. And I started thinking about back then, I was like, how can you build something like Hex or a crypto that keeps all of the air in the balloon, that truly keeps way more air going into the balloon than escaping? And I tried for 2 years to come up with some game mechanics that worked out. And there's all these cool, inspiring things that happened in crypto, such as, Hedron. So Hedron came along and said, hey, now you can encapsulate your stakes. So your stakes have a liquid value as well as a cash value, right? Excuse me. So you got this liquid value, this cash value, and now you can keep more air in the balloon. Then you had the Maximus DAO contract come along, which was everyone joining all of their economic energy together to get the best possible yield from better pays, longer pays better, and bigger pays better. So you were able to get the yield of a whale without having to have 150 million hex, to max out those bonuses. So that was really inspiring. And then you have Whatza come out. Whatza blew my mind because Whatza was this piñata, or this balloon that filled with air, this piñata that filled with candy. And if you got too greedy, if you wanted to get the stuff out of the balloon or the piñata, you had to break it, and you got your candy out of the piñata. And now your candy fills up the other people's piñatas that, were more disciplined than you. So I was like, wow, that's a great way to keep energy in the balloon. But, ICOSA was inflationary, right? And then Texan came along with something very, very interesting. Texan came along with the scraping option. So you could scrape your interest without taking a hit on the principal. That was really interesting. And the other thing Texan brought up was how do you pay yield without inflation? So Texan came out. Texan has a 100 trillion token supply. Only 3% of it showed up, was actually liquid in the beginning, and out of that 3% or 3 trillion, about 2.5% of it was locked up. And so now you have the treasury, which holds the majority of the coins, paying yield to whoever's staking the first 3%. So that's a really interesting way to pay yield without inflation. And I just looked at all these pieces of the puzzle. And like I said, for 2 years, I thought, what if I could build something on top of Hex or Pulse that keeps all the air in the balloon? But no matter what I tried, and a lot of really amazing people in this community, I would have private conversations, or I would text them or DM them, people like Crypto Coffee, people like Gold Key and Dipcatcher and Alex from Hedron, and Crypto Kool-Aid, just all these people. I'd run these ideas through them, and they'd say, "Oh, here's your problem. Here's your leak in the balloon. Here's your leak in the balloon," and on and on. Rags to Riches. He went over a lot of ideas with me, tons of horrible ideas. God bless his soul. And at the end, I figured out the only way to keep all the air in the balloon is if you program an NFT the way you want it to behave, and if you create a dedicated token to that NFT. So you need control over the tokens. You need to design the tokens in a specific way, and you need to design the NFTs in a specific way. And if you can put the two of those together, which is what I've been trying to do, and that's what we're hoping to do with anti-gravity NFTs and dark matter tokens. So we're trying to create this ecosystem that keeps the air in the balloon, and really it really doesn't give a lot of people that aren't willing to put air in a balloon and wait. There's a couple of things that we've added to make it tasty and bring in the degens and the gamblers. We have some giveaways of liquid tokens that are pretty awesome, so people can quench their thirst and go cash out some liquid tokens every once in a while, and get scratch that itch, get that hit of dopamine. But we've also got, a way to pay yield, or reward people, I should say, without inflation. And everything's designed to keep the air in the balloon. Because if somebody can design something that keeps all the air in the balloon, the goal is to one day find a use case or some tokenomics that can survive a triple bear market like we just went through, right? That was, that was painful. That was so painful to see all the air, all the economic energy spike into crypto, and then do its trickle down from Bitcoin to Ethereum to the altcoins, and then leave. It was very, very painful to see the air whoosh out of the Pulse chain balloon after it launched, because it just, there just wasn't keeping any energy in the market at that point. And then, of course, you've got copies of everything, and you're trying to bridge the economic energy in the air from Ethereum over to Pulse chain. And thank God for 0x Coast, right? Because 0x Coast gave us a way to put our fiat, boom, directly into Pulse chain. And I absolutely love 0x Coast, especially when it was running. I'm really excited for them to get back and up and running with some more banks. But they had one bank, and that bank didn't want to work with them, so they shut down for a while. And then they had Fortress or Trust, and then Fortress or Trust for some reason didn't want to work with them. And so they're like, as you've heard on Randy Hilarski and other streams and other places where they talk about this, they're going over trying to get like 10 or 11 institutions to work with them so that they don't lose. So if one bank, says adios, they're not out of commission. So I'm very, very excited about 0x Coast coming back and giving us an opportunity to throw our fiat straight into Pulse Chain and pull it back out of Pulse Chain. So, yeah, shout out to the 0x guys. Big shout out to them. Another big shout out that deserves is going out to Crypto Sloth. So we went and we had a consultation with Crypto Sloth about liquidity, and he has this 10-part series of videos explaining liquidity, how it works, and how to farm, how to provide liquidity to get what you want out of the exchanges. Excuse me. And so, yeah, Crypto Sloth is the OG. I can't believe how much free information he gives out there. I would definitely encourage you guys, if you have the means, to join his Patreon and get into his group, because he is just a fountain, a geyser of information just coming out from him. And he attracts very, very intelligent people like himself to his community and to the treehouse. So jump in the treehouse on Telegram, join his Patreon, and you'll be very happy that you did. And if nothing else, go watch his free videos, right? So anyways, Crypto Sloth, huge shout out to him. He was helping us figure out how to work our liquidity and how to see what we can do to create a beautiful chart. Because at the end of the day, the thing that people care about are green candles, a beautiful chart. Number go up. That's literally the best marketing you could have. You could have like beautiful spokeswomen. You can have, cool guitars and ninjas and fire and even a pretty decent sci-fi novel. And it's not going to get people's attention like a chart full of giant green candles. So it's all about the candles. It's all about the chart. So shout out to Crypto Sloth for working with us on that end. Another shout out, it goes out to Randy Hularski, who's listened to a lot of my ideas, given me really valuable feedback, both in person and just listening to his streams. Randy Hularski is one of the OGs. Like, he's been in this game much longer than I have. And not only has he been in the game, but he's been part of the game. Him and his lovely wife, Anna, have been marketing and helping consult crypto projects from way, 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 way back in the day. We're talking pre Steam It. If you guys remember Steam It from back in the day, way, way back in the day. And so he understands crypto on a level that not very many people do. He understands liquidity and rug pulls and pump and dumps and tokenomics on a very, very fundamental level. So Randy Hularski is definitely somewhere I go to for information. Another shout out I've got to give is Access Alive. Like, we got to hang out with Access Alive in Vegas. We had the honor of hearing him speak and represent what he saw happening in just like a really zoomed out view of both crypto, liquidity, where the money is, where the money is going, and possible outcomes for this next market. So, I mean, Access Alive is also someone you've got to get in touch with and you've got to follow for sure. But all that gushing and stuff being given, yeah, we're very, very, very excited for this project. Like I said, we're hoping to launch our website, which will allow donations. So if you want to make a wish and throw some money in the well, the intergalactic well, then we welcome you guys to participate and get 10x points. If not, just keep an eye on us, keep engaged, keep checking in and watch what we do from here on out. Because I think a lot of people are going to be surprised if we pull off what we're trying to pull off. And it's a big if. I mean, shoot. I mean, crypto's hard. Coding's hard, and money in coding is very, very difficult. Everything that I thought I thought we would be launched a year ago. I honestly believe we would be launched a year ago. And you don't know what you don't know. And so we've overcome a lot of things. I got to give a shout out to my partner, Don, the hexiest man in the world. He's been an amazing project manager and helped me get a lot of the stuff off the ground. We wouldn't be where we are now without his help. So big shout out to Don, Hexiest Man in the World. I owe him a lot, both in crypto and in life. He's a great friend. Appreciate him, just like I appreciate a lot of you guys that I met in person at crypto meetups and events. Of course, if you're within spitting distance of Salt Lake, about 13 days from now, it's going to be April 13th in Lehi, Utah, which is 20 minutes outside of Salt Lake. There's going to be the Pulse Chain Tour there, and I want to be speaking there and kind of telling my story about how I went from truck driver to crypto obsessed dude on YouTube, trying to spread the love and spread the good word, the gospel of financial freedom and crypto to everybody. And so, yeah, definitely come check that out if you guys can make it. It'll definitely be worth coming to that. Everything that Kaylin puts on, honestly, is first class, and it's a good time. So shout out to Kaylin, just being black, and shout out to SJ for their work on the tour, and shout out to RG3, who's also been a lot of the steam and a lot of the energy behind that train. So anyways, here we are. No one hooked me up on the StreamYard link anywhere that I posted it. And I apologize for not getting these links out earlier to my guests. So it's totally my fault that we don't have OX Barista and Robert Janito on the stream. We'll try to get them on another week. Next week, I do have Black Sheep from the DGen protocol joining us, and the GOAT token to come talk about the GOAT token. Hopefully we'll get the other guys back on too. So we'll be covering all of that. But again, if you guys are here, one of the 76 people here live on YouTube, or one of the people on Twitter listening, I'll explain to you that the Pumpamentals and the tokenomics that we've tried folding into our project. So number one is a limited supply. Number two is rewards or yield within that limited supply without inflation. Another one of the Pumpamentals that we wanted to add to doing this is limited minting periods for the NFTs and limited amounts of the NFTs. So we got that baked in there. And then we also have giveaways, which I can't say much more other than there's some liquid giveaways that will be going to some of the participants. And then, of course, we have the art and, the story going into the NFTs and into the art. So we hope that, that will give people a little bit more of a community to build around some of our shared values and some of our shared, opinions and beliefs and philosophies, if you will. So we have that going on there. And then we have a programmed scarcity of the token that I've never seen anyone put into play yet. There's a lot of buy and burn mechanisms. There's a lot of buybacks and minting and locking of coins, staking coins. But we actually have programmed into our coin for there to be an actual zero amount of tokens available on a specific day. And we can go into that later, but basically that the dark matter token will be zero on one day in the future. So we can get into that a little bit later when we share more. But I believe that those 5 or 6 different things, if we pull all of them off, are going to hold that air in the balloon and give us something special and unique that hopefully people will enjoy and take inspiration from and build upon and just keep moving forward, because it's all about evolution. I mean, we're light years ahead of the government. We're light years ahead of most of the people in crypto right now. Most people in crypto, they understand meme coins, they understand Ethereum, and they understand Bitcoin, and that's it. They don't understand the the evolution that's taken place within the Richard Hart ecosystem and the hexagons and the pulsicons. We're next level. This community is where I believe the big things are going to come out of. So like when the internet came out, no one knew that Netflix was going to take over entertainment. No one knew that Amazon was going to take over retail. No one knew that Facebook was going to take over social interactions of baby boomers mostly right now. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like when the internet came out, it took a long time for people just to wrap their head around email, right? And it took years for these other use cases and utilities to take off and really separate from the pack. And right now, cryptocurrency has completely taken over gambling, right? It's completely taken over speculation. If you want to degen, if you want to trade, if you want to gamble, if you want to like risk money for reward, nothing touches crypto. Nothing at all. I mean, the stock market can't come close. Vegas, although it's a fun, cool place, Vegas can't compete with crypto. Real estate speculation, precious metals, like all these forms of investing that have existed before crypto, they're like grade schoolers snorting Smarties behind the school, right? And then crypto is like black tar heroin. It just comes in and you can win, you can make so much money in crypto. You can lose so much money in crypto, and so, yeah, crypto's won. Crypto has won the gambling, betting, risk versus reward, speculation. Crypto has dominated that field. And for now, it's kind of like when the internet took over email and, very few people were doing snail mail. However, crypto has not proved, none of the projects in crypto have proven themselves to really rise up in the ways of finance or the ways of insurance, escrow, title. I mean, there's so many electronic means to our finance and legal system that can be done better and more trustless. We don't need to trust it. We can, everything is verifiable. Everything is transparent. That's the word I'm looking for. Everything's transparent on blockchain, right? And if it's not, it ain't blockchain. Like bye. If you can't see where the coins are and where they're going and what's going on, you're just calling it blockchain. So, like I said, I believe that the big products and the big use cases in finance and legal and the way that we work, we deal with each other as human beings is going to come out of crypto. And most likely it's going to come out of our community, because our community, it starts with the ethos of don't trust middlemen, of transparency, of, I wouldn't say altruism, but I would just say maybe we have such a generous spirit to our knowledge. Like if crypto were real estate, for example, you would have to pay people, you'd have to pay everyone for every ounce of information. You'd have to pay dearly to have someone explain liquidity providing to you. You'd have to pay dearly to understand how to bridge from one network to another. You'd have to pay dearly just to know what wallet to hold your stuff in. If this is a system like real estate or one of those where, you don't show people your cards in other financial places. Here, we want the rising tide to lift all ships. We want everyone to win in crypto. We want everyone to experience more freedom in their finances and more freedom in their lives, both, in all areas of their lives, but especially specifically financial. And this is a community where the big products and the big evolutions are going to take place, I believe. So you're in the right place at the right time, even though it feels like we are out in Saturn all alone, like Colnova. we're here now. We're on the bleeding edge of the future. And I mean, I'm just really grateful for that. I think you guys should too. We got Moondog says DGen protocol, yield farming NFTs for fractionalized pool, managed pulse chain, validator node support, great accumulation play, supporting PLS during inevitable eventual downturns and bear markets. That's good. That's good. He also says great way to support validation without taking on the responsibility of hardware management in exchange for the other soft management skills. And he also says, Moondog also says, is crypto black tar heroin? Yes, or DMT, 5-MeO DMT, pending the flavor variety you happen to fall into or for. You know what? You're right. The dopamine of crypto is like black tar heroin, but the way that it changes your mind about the reality of money and time and distance and all that stuff is probably closer to a hallucinogen like DMT or one of those. Also, he says, I am paying dearly for both my real estate education and crypto, spending my precious time, attention, energy, and discernment, finding the true signal through all the trash and noise. Yeah, you are going to pay. You're going to pay with your time. You're going to lose money. I've paid very dearly for a lot of my lessons in crypto, and I'll be talking about those prices I paid in Salt Lake and when I talk. And then Moondog also says both pay back if when done in alignment, aka if it works for you, work it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, and you can personalize crypto to whatever your situation calls for, whatever age you are, whatever income bracket you are, whatever financial goals you have. You can tailor and find someone that's in the same place you are or has the same destination that you're going to. And yeah, that's the other beauty of this community is that even though we are a very tight community, we also honor and respect each other's individuality for the most part, except for all the drama and bullshit on Twitter or X as it's called now. So anyways, really quickly, if you guys want the newest oh, Jiminy Christmas. My brain's dead from reading all of that from the book. But if you want the latest announcements and insights into what exactly is going on with Dark Matter Token, anti-gravity, come into our Telegram, which is t.me/anti-gravity saga. And that's where you can come in and see some of the art and stuff we're dealing with and some of the other NFT ideas we're dealing with. That's also where we're going to be talking about the donation phase and then future the mining phase. So if you guys want to join the party, you can join me there. You can follow me on Twitter, Hexray Vision. I'm rebranding to Pulse Ray Vision, but I haven't changed my handle on there. So you can find me at either one of those. Pulse Ray Vision on YouTube, obviously, if you're watching me now or if you're on X. Yeah, come find me in any of those places. On Telegram, I'm at Hexray Vision as well. So you can hit me directly if you can't find the anti-gravity group. But it's going to be a really exciting next few weeks. I mean, shit. Not only with the happening that should be taking place about a week after the Salt Lake meetup, but just with everything else going on. I mean, like, enough is enough. We're going to find out if this spike in Bitcoin is a fake front run or if it's a completely different cycle that we've never seen before pretty soon. And yeah, there's going to be some crazy stuff ripping. You know, pack your bags. You've got till May or June, I believe, in the Pulse ecosystem to get your positions where you want them to be. And more importantly than anything else, know how much you want to sell at what price right now. Easy rule of thumb that I would give people is every time your bag doubles, every time the coin doubles, sell 10%. Sell 10% every time it doubles. It's a very easy rule of thumb. It's very easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of maths. And then if while it's going up, if it drops in half, right? You know, if it retraces to its last point, then take half of your dollars or pulse and buy back in when it falls in half. And that way you'll be volatility pumping and you'll get free coins that way. And then also when it's at the very top, you should be out of most of your coins. You should mostly be in stables or L1s or whatever you plan on holding to take profits in. So anyways, just like, know what you want to sell and when before the insanity ensues and everything spikes for a month or a week or 6 weeks. Have all of your go to a place like I think it's called Omnis or Omnius from Tetra or Hedron, and find a place that does limit orders is what I'm saying. Find a place that does limit orders. Set your limit orders ahead of time, both for buying and for selling. And that takes a lot of the work out of it, and it takes the emotions out of it if you come up with a design plan. But other than that, I just want to say thanks to everyone who showed up this Easter Sunday and listened to me blab for, holy shit, an hour and 20 minutes. And join us in Telegram. Check out more of the story, and you'll see a couple more of our parameters and tokenomics that are kind of Easter eggs inside the story. And we'll give you guys as much as we can whenever we can give it. Also, come join us on the Forge and Curator.com. That's where we're going to be focusing a lot of our education, a lot of our attention when we look at new projects coming up. And when we're looking for people to help us analyze those projects, there's some really, really good analysts over there on Curator.com and the Forge. They're still selling NFTs. The NFTs give you an ability and special special responsibility and powers in that ecosystem, so that you can go on there and you can slash people that are doing bad reports on the Pulse chain stuff, or you can also go over there and you can apply to be an analyst, right? So if you want to be an analyst, you can submit 3 short reviews on 3 different coins, one good, one bad, one in the middle. And then the analyst will read and they'll accept you into their group or not, depending on how your reviews are. But like, go there and you can participate as an analyst. You can participate as a YouTuber. You can participate if you've got a project like I do and you're looking for a community to support you and give you help and advice as you're launching it. It's a great place, truly great place. Moonmet says, great to be here today. Always good stuff. Thank you very much. And Red Squirrel. So it's the limit orders are https:// omnis omnis.tetra.run/. And so that's where you can set limit orders, and hopefully we'll get more and more liquidity on those limit orders, so you can set more and more orders on different coins. Yeah, that's it. You guys have a wonderful, beautiful day. You're wonderful, beautiful people. Hopefully I'll see you guys in person this next year as we're doing meetups and things. I'm always excited to see and meet you guys in person. You are some of the best people I've ever met on the internet and in real life. Some of the smartest and most passionate and caring people. We have something special here in this community. So if you're in the right community, you're going to know about the right coins. And if you stick around long enough through the bear and the bull cycles, you'll get a very useful and very valuable education. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart. And we will talk to you probably next week, unless I do a stream sometime this week with the Forge and Curator. So, well, shoot, you know what? It's just me, but I think I kind of be messing up. So go back to my awkward days of 5th grade. Who am I kidding? I'm awkward today. I want to give you guys a wave like that cute girl across the dance floor that you are way too scared to go ask to dance. All right, at that, I'm out. You guys have a beautiful week.